Namaste friends, welcome to another edition of Indic Vichar. Today I have again a very famous guest, Sri M.R. Venkatesh, who's a practicing lawyer and a chartered accountant. And he's also a well-renowned author. He has at least 6 books to his credit. The most famous one, Sense, Sensex and Sentiments. He has also published a book on anti-dumping, which was inaugurated by Sri Atal Bihari, our Prime Minister. The reason behind having Sri M.R. Venkatesh on Indic Vichar today is because Modi government has completed 2 years of its second term, and it's a cause for celebration. How much Sri M.R. Venkatesh agrees with me, we'll find out from him. Sir, namaste and welcome to Indic Vichar.
Namaste and very nice to be with you.
Yeah, thank you for giving us time. So, sir, coming straight to our questions on economic side and economic delivery of Modi government. Of course, the first question is that this is actually, we have completed 2 years of the second term, but this is actually 7 years. I mean, starting from 2014. So how do you look at this? What are the hits and misses as per you?
See, 7 years of a first genuine right-wing government.
Right.
In 1,000 years.
In 1,000 years.
Yes, I am a civilizational man. I will always look at it from a civilizational perspective. And it is a cause for celebration.
Yeah.
And a cause for, being optimistic, being a cause for looking at our pains our forefathers have suffered.
Correct.
But having said all these things, we must also understand we have a civilizational responsibility on us, not only for ourselves or for the next generation or the generations to follow. We have a duty to the entire world.
Correct.
So to look at ourselves as some sort of an achievement of having a first Hindu government for 7 years is no great shake. Okay. So I would rather put it as it's a cause for jubilation, cause for celebration, no doubt. But we have a long road ahead of us in terms of deliverance to the entire mankind.
Amazing.
Okay. So I would pause here and reflect and do an introspection as to what is the misses and hits of the Narendra Modi government. To me, on Narendra Modi government scores exceptionally well when it comes to politics.
When it comes to politics?
Yes, when it comes to politics.
Okay.
If this government were to be given 2 papers, one on politics, one on economics.
Okay.
Politics, they score absolutely high distinction. They are the superb craftsmen of politics. But when it comes to economics, Narendra Modi government has not given a serious thought to what should be the economic policies of a government. I don't blame Narendra Modi for this. I don't blame Amit Shah for this. I don't blame Nirmala Sitharaman for this. I blame all the right-wing intellectuals.
Okay.
That we have not prepared a blueprint for what a right-wing government should do. On the contrary, what has happened is, and I will tell you, this haunts me in the nights as a nightmare, that when Narendra Modi ji stands up in the parliament and says in all pomposity and grandeur that Tindora peet ke main MNREGA jari rakhunga, or words to that effect, that he has no alternative for Manrega. And Manrega is now touted as the biggest success of the Narendra Modi government.
Yeah, that's a tragedy. That's a tragedy.
Okay. Now, why is it a tragedy? Now, what is the alternative? All of us accept that it is a tragedy.
Yeah.
It is a flagship of failures of Narendra Modi government, that he could not replace Manrega with something else.
Yeah.
But it is my duty. When I say my duty, I take it as a personal, as a person who is critical about this.
Yeah.
any criticism without an alternative is no criticism. That is the
Yeah.
leftist way of doing things.
Yeah.
Our way of doing things is to criticize and give alternatives.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the entire right wing has not been able to give an alternative to Narendra Modi's continuation of Nehruvian economics.
Yeah.
So the misses are not Narendra Modi's, not the government's, but the failure of right wing to generate a right wing economic idea.
Okay.
It is not to substitute twiddly-dee with twiddly-dum.
Yeah.
What the last 8 budgets of 5 of Arun Jaitley ji and 3 of Nirmala ji, and of course you had to have one more of Piyush ji, which was an interim budget in the run-up to the 2019 election. If you add and see the entire thing, it is rehash of what it would have been, say, 10 years of Pranab Mukherjee and P. Chidambaram's budget. Yeah. So there is nothing new. There is nothing fascinating. It's a holding on exercise. Probably, reflecting back on this, I step back and say probably Narendra Modi and his cabinet have decided, let us look at economics separately later. We will continue with this holding effort. This has put us in good stead for 70 years. So we will hold on to it for another 5-7 years. We'll be clean up the political mess. Let me clean the Article 370, Ram Janmabhoomi, Uniform Civil Code, your CAA, your fight against 20 important families which control opposition politics in this country.
Yeah.
If you take out these 20 families away from the country, there is no politics in this country.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are important things that probably they are concentrating. Having said that, I understand their limitations. But having said that, unfortunately, several of the right-wing supporters are either blindly supporting the government,
Yeah.
or blindly bringing about criticism on the government,
Okay.
without understanding, and for which I will hold the BJP, not the government, the BJP as not having enough firepower and mechanism to communicate with their own supporters. And you cannot be communicating with the supporters in one line or cryptic answers. You have to have different level of people to communicate with different level of people. So you may have to explain your limitations to one set. You may have to give them aspirational thoughts to other set. You may have to do certain pressing things. So in all these things, I wouldn't put more than 30 marks out of 100. And I'm very liberal in this valuation of the Narendra Modi government.
Okay. So, so another question which can be asked along with this question is, why do you think the government has failed to communicate and then deliver also?
See, 1,000 years of muck is not so easy to be cleaned.
Okay.
Now, I'll give you a classical example. That if you have to look at part 3 of the Constitution, which talks about fundamental rights.
Okay.
It starts with something like this. And it has got theological roots in Christianity.
Yeah.
Okay. So something like this, that man is a sinner. He is born out of sin because the first sin was committed by Adam and Eve. And that is why everyone is born bad. And man is brutal, man is violent, and man is uncontrollable in the realms of nature. And this flows through all great works of the Western philosophers like Thomas Hobbes, like Rousseau, Marx, Dawkins, Freud. It spans across several works in biology, in politics, in economics, in constitutional spheres, in sociology. All this, they hold man, meaning the individual, as somebody bad. And to countervail him, you require something external, which is Christ the Redeemer in Christianity.
Okay. Acha, okay. That's the way it works. Okay.
Okay. And since you don't have Christ coming in to take care of your constitution or your other things, so they require constitutional mechanism to create a large, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient state. Now, having burdened the state with so much of responsibilities, they are now corporatizing families to see that the state is unburdened. So you are privatizing government and nationalizing families. This is what Gurumurthy ji always talks about.
Wonderful lines.
Yeah. So what is happening is this is getting diluted as we progress and see that this necessitates to protect the individual who created the state. To protect him, you created fundamental rights. You first create an individual, you presume him to be bad. To correct him, you require an omnipotent state. Then you give so much of powers to the state to protect the individual. It is the story of Bhasmasura.
Yeah.
And to protect him from the state, you create fundamental rights. Part 3 of the Constitution perhaps requires urgent attention than, say, even Uniform Civil Code. In my opinion, there must be a very clear adherence to duties.
Adherence to duties, okay.
That is what, see, Article 1 of the Constitution talks about Bharat, that is India. Or India, that is Bharat. In fact, the wordings are India, that is Bharat.
India, that is Bharat, correct.
Okay, all of us are dual personalities. We are an Indian when we deal with the state, when we deal with any formal occasions, when we deal with any agency of the state, we all become Indians. When we deal with any of our family members, any of our community, brothers, we become Bharatiya.
Yeah.
So we are ourselves a split personality.
Correct.
Sometimes we are Indians, sometimes we are Bharatiyas.
Yeah.
Most times, whenever we are dealing with the Indian government, we are Indians.
Correct.
But when we are dealing with government, when we are non-government organizations, we are Bharatiya.
Wonderful point this is.
So part 3, which is rooted to fundamental rights, has to be tempered, which is based on Christian theology, has to be tempered with your idea of civilizational idea of duties. Now, to me, this is far more important than Uniform Civil Code or any of the cultural agenda that the government may have. So to me, unless you bring a civilizational aspect to your constitutional making, and in fact, this has been attempted by some constitution also. It is not that we are talking outlandish. There is a Mexico constitution which talks about this. Then there was a Bogota Declaration in the 1940s, which wanted to give only talk duty of government and duty of individuals.
Okay.
And instead, it became right of individuals and right of government. Okay. So, what is the difference between our constitution and, say, the American constitution, which is almost the same? America can very well be based on the Christian theology or no other theology. But for us, we have to definitely start looking at not disturbing parties. Let there be rights, but let there be also be duties. And how do we do this is a matter for which we have to have a larger debate. You and I cannot alone debate. We may perhaps throw about this idea, or we can have a separate session. But this, I think, is fundamentally and germane, because once you talk about duties, you cannot talk about Manrega as a right.
Yeah. So, Amar, I mean, on that point, duty versus rights point, I think this is one area where there is a difference between RSS, BJP view of the world and Congress view of the world. Congress only talks about rights all the time, but RSS, BJP at least talks of duties sometime. Beech mein kabhi.
See, the problem is all of them are wedded to the constitution.
Yeah. Correct.
So
I agree.
the problem as I see, and Rajiv Malhotra Saab has written a wonderful book of fault lines.
Okay.
And he has talked about several fault lines being exploited in India.
Okay.
But one fault line which he has failed to probably cover, and which I am very much worried, is the fault line between M.R. Venkatesh, the Indian, versus M.R.
Right.
Venkatesh, the Bharatiya.
Yeah.
I am torn between two different things, between my duty and my right.
I agree with you.
So the Congress, by asking for rights,
Correct.
is constitutionally right.
Okay. But
But
civilization is wrong.
Civilizationally wrong. So this requires some sort of a movement like what, say, Adi Shankara did, like Swami Vivekananda did, this or Mahatma did. This requires a complete cleansing of our society. कि हक बेस्ड सोसाइटी से आप ड्यूटी बेस्ड सोसाइटी पे आप you have to move.
Okay.
In fact, I do not know how much is the word right embedded in any of the classical Indian language. जब मैं
Right,
यूज किया, हाँ right.
Okay.
राइट का रूपांतर या अनुवाद आप अगर हिंदी में करोगे या तमिल में करोगे बहुत ही मुश्किल है. इसलिए मैंने हक का वर्ड यूज किया क्योंकि वो उर्दू वर्ड है. इट इज नॉट a Hindi word, because though you can still find it out, but the exact like the dharma cannot be translated to English.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree.
Rights cannot be translated into, though they say Mooladhikar. Adhikar, Mooladhikar is not traditionally the right that we talk about. Inalienable rights that the constitution talks about in battery. So the agenda probably for the next 20-30 years, which may probably require to be taken by RSS, BJP, and even the Congress. There is, I would say, when it's a duty, it is not that the leftists have to
only RSS, BJP.
No, it is a national endeavor that the entire constitution must include duties. And it must be the only constitution probably pioneering in the world that will ask its fundamental duties to be justiciable. आप अगर अपना काम नहीं करोगे, जैसे कि now let us take the classical case of, say, COVID, which is a contemporary topic.
Correct.
Now it is well agreed that government has not been able to do its part in substantial measure in some places. And when I say government, I include state and central.
Every government.
But have we, as individuals, between October and April, performed our duties fully as responsible citizens?
We are not.
Have we worn our mask? Even today, I see people spitting on the road. I see people urinating on the road. People without mask. People moving around with gay abandon, not inoculating themselves. Now,
sir, marriages.
Funeral.
500, 1,000 people in marriages.
Yes. So, and these are all elections. Courts, all these things are happening as if there is no tomorrow. So, having failed my fellow citizens, how do I stand up and say that the government is wrong? How do I stand up and say Modi is wrong, or Stalin is wrong, or Uddhav Thackeray is wrong? My view is, unless we have a sense of discipline in the society, and unless that discipline is dharma,
I agree.
Unless that is done, economics and other things are a part of a subset of the larger. So there, I think probably we may have to work on an agenda, and unless this is remedied, we cannot blame. That's why I said, unless you have an alternative in hand, any blame game of anybody.
Right.
Unless we had Narendra Modi, criticism of Manmohan Singh was bad. The moment you have, I am saying it, unless you had Narendra Modi in your hand, we all criticized
Manmohan Singh,
but we had a Narendra Modi in hand, and that is the alternative that was projected to Manmohan Singh.
Yeah,
The
that's the
moment
point.
and when you have an alternative, you come about and discuss with चाल चरित्र चिंतन चेहरा, आप चारों ले आइए, तब हम बात कर सकते हैं, तब सरकार की आलोचना हो सकती है, तब तक ये आलोचना बंद रखें, ये बेहतर है.
Right. I mean, going back to NREG and economic delivery. So I think that because of these 1.5 years of COVID, the scene which was bad is looking worse now.
See,
But the question is, can we cut some slack to the government that it had to face 2 waves now in 1.5 years?
See, that is why I don't begin any economic data or criticism or any serious discussion about economics after 2020 March, because
Correct.
after which all data are on a new normal, and we don't know whether what is the data and the base. But if you take 8 or 10 quarters prior to March 2020,
correct,
the rate of economic growth had fallen from around 8% to around 3%, 3.1% in the quarter of January to March 2020.
okay,
The last quarter, that is even before the lockdown, was on 25th March.
yeah.
So you assume that to be 1st April. So that's only 5 days or 6 days. So you leave it.
Correct.
But if you take the previous 85 days, beginning 1st January,
1st January.
growth rate was just 3.1% for that quarter. So the government was having serious problems even without COVID. And as I said, the government's answer to this was either to privatize Air India, piecemeal, or to privatize LIC, as if this is the problem. Privatization is an important subject, but it's not the problem for your economy or a solution to your economy. These are all side shows in the bigger game. The bigger game for us is that individual initiatives are not happening. We have to revive the society to revive the economy. And the more we dependent on Sarkar, dole, subsidy, we are sucking out blood from the most common man and putting it into the hands of the most unproductive sector, which is the government.
Correct.
Now, I'm not saying you should have no taxes. I'm not saying you should have no government. But recall what Narendra Modi said. Minimum government,
maximum government. Yeah.
Now, if I translate it into Hindi, I can translate it into 2 words. Ram Rajya.
Yeah.
Ram Rajya में राज्य ज़्यादा और राम कम होते हैं. Meaning सरकार.
हाँ, okay.
राम जब न्यूनतम हो जाते हैं, सरकार अपने आप राज्य तक उभरता है.
Fantastic,
now,
sir. Fantastic.
Ram Rajya was not that absence of Ram. Ram Rajya was not that Ram was doing everything.
Yeah.
It had the balance and it created a society where people were doing all those things in a rule-based, law-based, duty-based manner. Now, if we are to move forward, if we have to take what we have done, Narendra Modi's larger than life image gives us an assurance that हमको mask नहीं पहनना पड़ेगा, sanitize नहीं करना पड़ेगा. I can be what I am. There is one big man out there, Narendra Modi, who will fight.
He will save us. Yeah.
He will save us. Now, what has been the strength of Narendra Modi has become a sort of weakness for him.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I agree with
unless this realignment of society and individual self of various people, all these things has to be done, various organs of the society. And this has to be done in a very structured way. This is not an agenda for say 30 minutes or 40 minutes or one law or even changing the constitution. We have to necessarily change the way we look up on ourselves, the way we do things. So it is a long-term agenda for probably 20 to 30 years. One generation we have to train to create Indians who are dutiful.
Yeah.
So that the economy can be beautiful.
Sir, you're competing with the PM for slogans.
No, not at all. He has been a great role model to many of us.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
So,
Sir, I mean, coming down to last two questions. This being that to revive from here, what are the measures you see? I mean, for example, lowering of interest rates ho gaya, lowering of taxes to some extent ho gaya, labor reform. But what do you think? Couple of at least 2-3 things which can help us to revive from here.
okay. See, quickly, we need to stop looking at the external agents for rating India.
Okay.
For too long, this government has become hooked on to foreigners for ratings, international agencies for Sabashi, and also for your fiscal orthodoxy. Now, till date, I'm not yet sure whether the Narendra Modi government wants a strong rupee or a weak rupee. Okay. I am not sure whether they want to have privatization or they want to have government controlling the commanding heights of the national economy. Yeah. I'm not sure whether they want larger taxes, because today I recall that I had given an interview to somebody and I had coined the phrase during the run up to during the interview that Narendra Modi promised to remove tax terrorism. But he has removed tax terrorism, no doubt about it. But instead we have got tax jihadism. And today the rates of taxes are also, I will tell you, are very high thanks to GST. GST has put in enormous strain on the system, which nobody is able to understand. And the biggest strain has been on the MSME sector.
Yeah.
And the MSME sector is primarily the middle class, which is the biggest supporter of the Narendra Modi government, because they are the OBCs, they are the MBCs, they are the middle class, and they are the farmers, they are the small traders, they are the small professionals, they are the small artisans. So these are the people who are very badly affected by the corrosive structure of GST. And unfortunately, every BJP leader believes that they have done a great reform. That great reform is only for McKinsey, for Pricewaterhouse, for Ernst & Young, for the big multinationals. But for an Aam Admi Indian, a Bharatiya, it is a very corrosive tax. The rates are very corrosive. The manner of collection is far more corrosive. And I am told in 1,000 days of the first 1,000 days of GST, we have more than 1,000 amendments to GST.
Oh my God.
So it is not stable also. I can understand that they don't make a stable law at the beginning, and it can't be. We are transitory. But we can't be transiting even after 4 or 5 years. There has to be a full stop somewhere. And said no. In fact, you will be shocked. On 1st February, the Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala ji presented a budget.
Yeah.
All of us know. There were nearly 70 or 80 amendments to the direct taxes.
Correct.
Fair enough. You have done it. Good. Done. But by March 25th, when the budget was being passed in the parliament, another set of amendments are coming in.
Yeah.
So you are not sure what you want. So this goes back to the root. First thing you have to announce or have very clear thinking what the government should do, what the government cannot do.
Yeah.
In the sphere of economics, do you want Air India or do you don't want Air India?
Yeah.
You want BSNL, you don't want BSNL. You want LIC or you don't want LIC. You want State Bank or you don't want State Bank. So first thing, government ka role. Agar government ka role तय हो जाएगा, then you will decide on what is the taxes. Now today you are collecting taxes because you are expanding your welfare.
Yeah.
So on one hand you are expanding welfare and expanding taxes, but the expansion of welfare is more than the expansion of taxes.
Correct.
So your debt is also expanding. What is debt?
Yes.
Debt is borrowing from our sons and paying our grocery. Which is, you as a Indian, we don't bother about debt. But as a Bharatiya, I want to die at least not giving any sampati to my son. That is okay. But I don't want to, give some debt to my children and die. All of us have this idea, subconsciously and consciously, both. We don't want to die giving some debt to our children. But this is what we are doing collectively.
Yeah.
You know the debt of Government of India has crossed 100 lakh crores. 100 lakh crores it has crossed last March. This March, it has crossed more than 110 lakh crores. It's galloping.
So in this scenario now, if I was just reading Abhijit Banerjee this morning, so he wants government to print more money. So I mean, so where will we go like this?
See, those who are talking about printing more money and escalating the debt of the government,
Correct.
actually want the value of currency to fall.
Okay.
See, then what will happen? See, that is why the stock market has, in anticipation that government ke paas koi chara nahi hai, there is no alternative. Stock market has risen.
Yeah.
Because they know one day or the other there will be a printing of notes.
Yeah. So easy money will come.
Easy money will come. So
Correct.
the value will automatically go. See, please understand. When value of gold goes up, it is gold boom. When value of real estate goes, it is real estate boom.
Correct.
When the stock market prices go up, you say stock market boom. When value of potato and chini goes up, you say it is inflation. Okay. You don't say potato boom. You don't say sugar boom, chini boom. Bengan ka boom ho gaya. You don't say that. You say these are all inflation.
These are inflationary. Yeah. Okay.
So printing note will always have a downside which will create inflation. Now, how far are we prepared? How much matrix we have? What is that the RBI thinks? What is it that the government will think? This is too large. Now, it is not only Abhijit Banerjee.
Yeah.
Previously, it was 2 days back. It was Mr. Uday Kotak was also suggested this.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
Now, all the stock market players, you just have to put your eyes half closed on them. It is all the stock market players and the real estate barons have decided that abhi to economy tabahi ho chuki hai.
Correct.
So somehow or the other they want to put the unsold or their inventory that they have accumulated into the middle class. So they are saying give print notes.
Print money because that will have no value. Correct.
So somehow or the other they want to do it fast and raise the. In fact, this must be the funniest stock market. I don't know what SEBI is doing. That stock market has crossed 51,000 when the economy is in the lockdown.
Tanking. It's literally tanking.
So I don't know what is this all about. So, but this is where I think if the BJP genuinely believes that its voting class comes from the Bharatiya.
Yeah.
आम भारतीय से उनकी वोट आती है, तो they will be more satark, they will be more conscious, they will be more sensitive to such serious infractions in economics happening as policy. And this is a ruthless bureaucracy passing it on to the BJP.
Yeah.
And the gullible BJP is following it.
Yeah.
I would say this is Alice in Blunderland economics that is being followed out, especially this type of suggestion that you recklessly print notes, you can tide over it.
Yeah.
This can happen in America. Quantitative easing happens in America because America can print notes and the world will take the notes. There is a demand for notes.
Correct.
In India, there is no, Indian notes are not taken probably beyond Nepal.
Nepal.
Okay, so we will have, but this is an alternative we have to study. I'm not poo-pooing this, but this is an alternative I will study, but I don't think so this is worthwhile in the Indian context. Quantitative easing beyond a point will not work.
Right, sir. Understand. So I mean, we all kind of agree to this fact that unemployment has risen again. I was just reading it seems it has gone back to 14.5% again. It had come down during October to March this year. It has gone again to 14.5%. So it is going to stay like that. So my question is, it may come down in say 1 year and all that. So my question is, what effect it will have on 2022 UP elections and 2024 general elections?
See, employment is a very big challenge right from the days of Narendra Nehru.
Okay, acha.
And I don't believe this 14.5%. This is basically a survey, and
Okay.
based on which they have come to a conclusion that as if they have gone to every house and found out who is all unemployed, and they have taken, in fact, for the last 1.5 months since the courts are closed, I am also unemployed. I don't know whether I figure in that 14.5% or not. So the real issue is that we need to tackle that India has to generate jobs. If you have to generate jobs, it is not possible by the government to generate jobs. Whether state government or central government can give you some pune jobs in the government, and for which they have to pay extraordinary amount. A pune in government will be worth 10 times the salary of, say, a general manager in a private concern. So that is the level of salaries that the government has to pay, and government virtually are stopping employment world over. And
Yes.
India is no exception.
I agree with you.
So you will have to create entrepreneurs who will create job.
Correct.
But Congress has succeeded in one thing by labeling this government as Adani Ambani Sarkar and Sood Bood Ki Sarkar. Right from first day it was Sood Bood Ki Sarkar. Then it became Ambani Adani Sarkar.
Correct.
This government somehow or the other has not been able to fight it back. And this government does not boldly say that this is a government of entrepreneurs.
Correct.
Only M.R. Venkatesh can give job, you can give job, your viewers can give job. We have to convert every individual into entrepreneur wherever there is an entrepreneurial streak in them, so that they can employ. Perhaps as a lawyer, I may employ a driver, I may employ a cook, I may employ 10 more lawyers, I may employ 2 more stenographs. So I am an employer. Unless you encourage me to do my work and fearlessly and without any intervention of the state, I cannot give employment. So one way out is probably to reduce direct and indirect taxes. This is a solution. In the month of April, the GST collection was 1.4 lakh crores. Highest.
Yes.
So I would have suggested yesterday, if the GST Council meeting, they had discussed about 2 percentage point reduction in GST from 18% to 16%.
Yeah, the top slab.
Roughly, in a rough calculation, it puts 20,000 crores into the hand of the economy per month, which means 2.5 lakh crores, which is a huge demand build-up. That will have a huge cascading effect. That's how economies are built. And likewise, today, this is the time to cut private individual taxes to a rate not more than 20% or 22% in the peak level. We are having 40 odd percent.
40 to 42%, yeah.
So these rates are obnoxious. We have gone back to what to rates that were prevailing in the late 80s or early 90s. We should come out, and this is the time. When we say bold reforms, everybody talks. Abhi se shuru ho jayenge. This is the time for bold reforms, tax reforms, infrastructure, all these things. I want people who criticize the government to come with precise and points, actionable points.
Yeah.
That is lacking. So that's why Congress is lacking credibility. When they say Sood Bood Ki Sarkar, what is the alternative?
Yeah.
They don't have an alternative. But the alternative for the Narendra Modi government is that the huge middle class, the voting class, the chattering class, the Twitter class, the Facebook class is your voting class. And they are the self-employed class. They are the people who are honestly working. They are paid taxes. They are honestly doing their work. They are taking care of themselves. They don't want anything from the government. In fact,
Yeah.
you see, most of them use ration card only to keep it for the sake of any eventuality.
Yes. Yes.
Most of them don't even buy goods from the ration.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are the people who are generating your income tax. They are the people who buy most of the goods on which you pay GST.
Yeah.
And you want to tax them more. And on top of the taxation, you are also harassing more. So it is a time to give major rahat to them. And it is only they who will solve your employment problem. You cannot solve your employment problem by giving 3,000 peon jobs in railways, of
Yeah.
which 3 crore people will do the application for 3,000 jobs. So you have to transform India into an entrepreneurial society and a state. Our idea must be that every entrepreneur must be encouraged, subject to, of course, the law of the land. As you said, you have done every sort of reform, indirect tax reform, labor reform, every reform has happened, which the Westerners wanted.
Okay.
Please listen to a Bharatiya and do some reforms. Westerner जितना भी मांगा आपने कर दिया 20 साल में.
इमेज बिल्डअप पूरा हो गया,
लेकिन मुर्गी अंडा नहीं दे रहा है.
मुर्गी अंडा नहीं दे रहा है.
ये तो वास्तव में वही सच है कि मुर्गी अंडा नहीं दे रहा है. मुर्गी अगर अंडा देना चाहती है, भारतीय को सुनो, इंडियन को मत सुनो, विदेशी को कतई मत सुनो, भारतीय को सुनो. टैक्सेस कम करो और सरकार में जितनी डिपार्टमेंट है 20 डिपार्टमेंट को बंद करो, मिनिस्ट्रीज को बंद करो.
I think small government has actually become larger in last 11 years.
Yes, this has happened because this slogan of minimum government, maximum governance was thought about by President Reagan in 1980 to 88.
Okay.
But when he demitted office,
yeah,
he left a bigger government than he actually came in. So the problem is, I can cure anything and everything fits into the political personality of Narendra Modi, which is in conflict with the economic image of Narendra Modi.
Yeah.
The economic image of Narendra Modi is a libertarian, civilizational based Bharatiya, but the politician in Narendra Modi is an Indian. He's wedded to constitution. He is wedded to the constitutional idea and hence to Christian theology. Yeah. So there is a conflict.
Yeah, there's a conflict. So, I mean, this welfareism, I mean, going one step ahead of socialism, now welfareism is so well entrenched into, I mean, even in America, even in United States of America.
Judges को पता नहीं होता है. What one judge has said recently that यूपी के हर एक गांव में एक एम्बुलेंस खड़ा रहेगा fully equipped.
Oh.
Okay, how can you bring it? See,
yes.
that is why in Sanskrit, in most Indian language, in Tamil, the word for economics is Arthashastra.
Arthashastra.
Meaning material sciences. हाथ में कुछ है तो उसकी हम कल्पना करेंगे, उसका हम विडंबना करेंगे, उसकी हम सोच करेंगे, उसकी हम सोचे, उस पे हम सोचेंगे. लेकिन हाथ में कुछ नहीं है, इसका अगर आपको कुछ अंदाजा है, उस पर आप अगर टिप्पणी करेंगे, उसको हम इकोनॉमिक्स बोलते हैं. Okay. So that is why I say the right half of my brain is Bharatiya, the left half of my brain is economics. Yeah. Because every time I look into all, and this must be the problem with Mr. Narendra Modi also. And
everybody, all of us maybe.
Everybody, every Indian. So he is wondering whether I am doing the right thing as per constitution.
Yeah.
And the judge is also right. He is saying government इतने भी नहीं कर सकती कि हर एक गांव में एक एम्बुलेंस. बट कहाँ से आएगा भाई एम्बुलेंस? उतना पैसा कहाँ है? उतने डॉक्टर कहाँ है? उतने मरीज की देखभाल क्या? उस डॉक्टर, नर्स, मेडिसिन सब उसमें वाइब्रेटर होनी चाहिए, उसमें व्हाट इज दिस वेंटिलेटर होनी चाहिए.
करेक्ट.
All these things you want,
Yeah.
But then
And,
that
and,
means we must
and that too in next 7 days.
next 30 days or something like that. And if that, then we have to pay 80% taxes. We must pay 100% taxes. We must become a socialist country like Russia, what it was in during USSR. Are we ready? So we can't be wanting the benefits of socialism and taxation mechanism of capitalist countries.
Yeah. Right now,
Dubai, whenever we talk about taxes, we talk about Dubai, we look at Hong Kong, look at Singapore. But we want also the best of cares of Cuba, best of cares of Scandinavian countries, healthcare. So this doesn't work. So unless we arrive at that balance, what is the precise thing that we want? And this is not left to Narendra Modi. This is a society.
This is our problem. This is our problem.
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful, sir. So I mean, so nice to have you, and it was a real education. And I am a economic enthusiast, nothing more than that, and must have read a lot. But really, I learned something from you today. I
would say you have not learned anything from me. I have learned everything from people like Gurumurthy ji, Professor Ranganathan, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, and so many others, Govindacharya ji, who has whom I didn't have any great amount of discussion, but I have talked to him quite a few times.
Correct.
And Professor Bajaj, Jitendra Bajaj Saab, whose understanding of whose preface to the book Ayodhya, pages, published by the Center for Policy Studies.
Correct.
It's one of the most wonderful pieces of literature I have seen, distinguishing between state and society, and explaining the difference and the roles. And so these are all people who have given you so much. I'm only probably echoing their views and putting it across to you. That's all. So don't credit me with anything.
No.
This is, and of course, many of the RSS people, economists, leftist economists, and several people with whom I have. I'm also like you, an economic enthusiast. So my enthusiasm is not economical.
That's very humble, sir. I would like to. I would and the thing which you said, the paradox internal paradox which we face as an Indian and a Bharatiya. I don't know if the story fits here, but I would like to end with a small story which was applicable to two big communist leaders, Comrade Dange and EMS Namboodiripal.
Yeah.
So, of course, Comrade Dange used to stay in Nagpur. So when someone from RSS went to meet him, so they said that कि वो संध्या कर रहे हैं अंदर, स्नान संध्या करके आएंगे. So the RSS leader asked him that you are a communist and you're doing a sandhya. He said that is politics. I am a Hindu first, and they say that the same applied to EMS Namboodiripal. He used to do Snan Sandhya twice in a day, but he was a communist in every sense of the word. So perhaps that we all must face that dual personalities and come out with flying colors.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Namaskar. If you like our videos, please share it, please like them, and please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much.